tap is the first game of conference play in the GMC, and we've got a pair of unbeatens through the first week of the season. It's Princeton and Lakota East. We're here in Liberty Township. We'll get you started next with the game of the week on Chatterbox Live. Good evening from Lakota East. I'm Geoff Kim. Trace Fowler to join me in just a moment. The Vikings got their season started at home last Saturday, edging St. X 70-68. Senior guard Khalil Davis led Princeton on with a game-high 22 points. The Thunderhawks added to the Bombers' woes on Tuesday, defeating them here 49-43. Junior swingman Nate Johnson led all scorers with 28 points. Coupled with their 75-65 victory at Taft at last Friday, Lakota East is off to a 2-0 start. So as we begin, Trace, let's start with the Vikings. It's been a season already in flux as their head coach Steve Wright departed in September to become the video coordinator for Cleveland State. In comes Steve Green, who's been on staff for 2 decades. Princeton has not missed a beat.
No, and I think it helps when you come into a situation that you've been there for a while, and that's what happened with Steve Green. He's been there for quite some time, and it also helps when you have a lot of good players. You can ask Ryan Day about that. I think Coach would be lying to you if you didn't want to remove the interim tag, and I think that if they have a good season, it's going to be hard not to, but they have a good quality opponent and test tonight in East.
Meanwhile, the Thunderhawks will try to pick up where they left off a year ago when they were 15-1 in the GMC. 20-6 overall. They reached the 4th round of the state playoffs. Head coach Clint Adkins has set high expectations for Lakota East for yet another deep run.
Yeah, well, Clint Adkins has been around for a while, and he's a good coach, and I would say that he would even admit that there's a guy by the name of Nate Johnson. As he goes, so will the Thunderhawks. He's, averaging, although it's only been 2 games, 28 points per. And you watch tonight. If he has a good game, there's a good chance that the East Thunderhawks will win. Now, that being said, though, he's not the only player, and I don't want to make it about just him. But at the end of the day, when you watch the game, you know it all runs through number 34.
And with that, we'll take a look at the tail of the tape right now and take a look at exactly how well these two teams are doing coming in this early part of the season. Of course, again, both teams are perfect on the year, so these numbers will change pretty drastically over the course of the next few games.
That they will. I would say I thought the first point, I want to looking over the stats, I can promise you this, and I hope I'm a liar for Princeton's sake, but their free throw percentage will go drastically down at some point here in the near future. And that three-point percentage, 40%, you can tell they've only played 1 game. East, on the other hand, I think perhaps they played a high-scoring game to a certain extent at the high school level, and then the other day they kind of had to muddy the waters a little bit with X in a game in the 40s. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out tonight. But certainly 2 quality opponents, 2 teams that are going to fight to win the GMC. And hey, we were at the gridiron. Now we finally get the hardwood, and can't wait to do it with you, Jeff.
It's the inaugural hardwood game for us here on Chatterbox Live. We'll bring you the starting lineups when we come back here on Chatterbox Live, the game of the week. So let's take a look at our starting lineups here in this ball game between the two teams. First, for the visiting Princeton Vikings, their head coach is Steve Green in his first year. As the interim tag, he's 1-0. And as you see the starters there, they run a 3-guard set.
Yeah, I think that ultimately they got a few good pieces. Dearest Randall, for whatever reason, didn't start their first game. I shouldn't say Dearest Randall. I'm thinking of the Kentucky Wildcats. But he goes by Diesel. They got another guy in Bowen Hardman who has multiple Division I offers, just a sophomore. So they're set up not only for this year but for the future as well.
And as we look to the other side here for Lakota East, their head coach is Clint Adkins. In his 6th year, 94-34 overall, 64-16 in GMC play. That's 80%.
They have 3 guys that have varsity experience in the starting lineup, and one guy that hasn't been mentioned that perhaps if you read the Chatterbox Sports website, you'll know that I like Trevor Howard. I think he's a threat defensively. He plays very good on-ball pressure, has a lot of deflections, and he's one of those scrappy players you need to win as a team. And we'll see if they can have some success tonight. But as we're nearing the tip-off, finally, is in a little bit of an anticipation as the crowd continues to grow.
Absolutely. The last time these two teams met, well, it was on March 1st of this year in the second round of the playoffs. The Thunderhawks won the battle on the boards 24-12, and they beat the Vikings in that one 52-43. At that point, however, Trace, as we kind of think a little bit more about this, the expected star of the game for Lakota East, Nate Johnson, wasn't yet a prime shooter or a star. He's really grown up here in the offseason and come into his own here to start off the year.
He's a great driver of the basketball. You know, that's the first thing that stood out to me. He's a guy that can get into the lane, and I know this sounds really crazy to say, but I like comparing high school kids to perhaps some people that people know nationally across the board. I think, you know, I'm not saying he is this. I don't want to put him on a pedestal or anything like that, but to me, he reminds me of LeBron James in a little bit of a way. You know, he's more physical than most high school kids. He can get in the lane, and he's a good driver of the basketball. Whenever you average 28 points, and at the end of the day, you've shot 1 3 all year long, I think that should answer your question. He can get himself to the line, and he makes his free throws when he gets there.
Well, think about his line score from just the last game on Tuesday. 28 minutes. He was 9 of 14 from the floor. That's 64%. 10 of 13 at the line. That's 77%. He scored 28 points in 28 minutes. He had 3 boards, 2 assists, and 3 turnovers in that ballgame. But an all-around floor game for him. So we're just about set to go here in this one as we close in on tip-off. And I got to tell you, as you had alluded to prior to our last break, Trace, that, hey, you know, we're making the transition from football season to basketball. Yeah. And it's a different animal. I think, you know, it's like you get the wide-open green spaces with the cold weather. Now you have the indoor heat that comes with being in a gym during the wintertime.
Could not be more appreciative of that. I can promise you there. At the beginning of the football season, it was too hot. At the end of the season, it was too cold. And not one for the elements. So looks like we are getting ready to honor America, Geoff.
Well, with that, I think we're due for a break. So if that's the case, why don't we take one right here with you? It's pregame show here. It's the game of the week here on Chatterbox Live. Along with Trace Fowler, I'm Geoff Kim. We thank you for having us here and being a part of our broadcast tonight, our inaugural one for the basketball season here on Chatterbox Live. The officials for tonight's ball game are James Johnson, Barry Jamison, and Ryan McCurley. And a little housekeeping note as we await this game to get started. Be sure to join us next Tuesday. You have not even started this one. We got to talk about the next game coming on up. Next Tuesday, December the 10th, it'll be another GMC tilt. Fairfield will visit Middletown. The tip-off set for right around 7:15, give or take when the JVs finish. But no matter what the time will come on, it'll be Trace and I will be glad to have you along right here on Chatterbox Live. So we highly anticipate this one, and as you had mentioned, Trace, some great talent on both sides. And again, as we kind of recap a little bit, looking at Nate Johnson first for the home team for Lakota East, 28 points in each of his last 2 games. He's been a primetime scorer, taking it right to the rack.
Absolutely, and I think you had mentioned the start times. What about the fact that we started a little late today based off overtime? And I was telling you, you know, you get fired up for a game and you're playing the varsity level and you're ready and your adrenaline's pumping. You get out to the tunnel and you look up and you realize, oh man, this might go into overtime. And then all of a sudden, boom, overtime hits, and you kind of, as a varsity player, you've seen both of them go back in the tunnel there.
Right.
Sometimes you got to get your thing, but juices are probably flowing right now. But credit to both the JV, you know, that JV teams. They went to overtime, had a good game. But as Nate Johnson gets called, I do think, as you just mentioned, you know, this game's going to come down to a little bit of pace. You know, who can control the pace, and not to say that East can't run with them. They might, and they might do it tonight. But I think at the end of the day, I think East is going to try to play good man-to-man defense and run fundamental, sound offense. And when you do that, Geoff, it kind of wears down, you know, the offensive players. If they have to play tough defense for quite some time, it can hurt you on the offensive end. And I think that's a little bit of a strategy that East might have.
So we are seeing the fist bumps by the home team to the officials as well as to the opposing sideline. Of course, the Vikings are clad in the red uniforms. They have the gray numerals and the white trim. It's the white uniforms tonight for the Thunderhawks with the silver numerals and the black trim. So we're just about set to go here in this one. Alex Mangold for the Thunderhawks. along with Rodney Harris to jump center. Again, the head official tonight is James Johnson. And they are pumped up here at Lakota East tonight. Should be a good one. 8 minutes here in this first quarter. Some histrionics in the middle of the floor. The ball is tapped, controlled by Lakota East, and away we go. Here as they go left to right.
As we expected, man-to-man defense I expect all night long.
Peck plays it back up on high. Alex Mangold has it, and now they work it around the arc. Peck on the dribble drive to the free throw line, and now kicks it back out for McCorkle. McCorkle plays it to Nate Johnson, who's the star of this one so far. He pops from 15. He nails it, and it's 2-0 Lakota East.
Yeah, that's the player, and that's the guy. And we'll see what kind of answer Princeton might have for him, but you cannot let him have the space he just had all night long.
7:20 left to play in this opening quarter. Princeton gets its first touch. Here's the jumper, no good for Jamal Walker, and here comes East back on the move.
Got numbers.
Quickly across the timeline. Peck has it in between the circles. Of course, no shot clock here in high school, but both teams moving very quickly to start off. Mangold gets a touch, dribbles it around, and now the aforementioned Johnson up high on the right point. They dump it down low for Mangold. One-on-one down on the low block.
This is an advantage for East right here, without question.
The fade away from 10, no good. The rebound to Jamal Walker. Quickly up the floor. Khalil Davis, and that shot is off the mark. So right now, Princeton a little cold to start things off. And a nice sleight of hand there by Johnson. Up into the forecourt it goes. Peck now returns it up to McCorkle. Johnson's going to get a lot of touches tonight. Trevor Howard.
East is going to run offense, so and that's what I like most about their team. They're going to be patient, and they're going to get a good shot.
Skip pass, and now they work it back around the rim with 6:08 left to play here in this opening quarter. 2-0 on the Johnson jumper.
One thing about Mangold is he can shoot from out there, so you have to respect him. Even though he's a big man, he can hit the three.
Good size, the tallest man on the floor. And now here's Johnson, skip pass, and now the return. Mangold is straight on three. He missed it. And this ball out of bounds. It'll stay up front. Last touch by the Princeton Vikings.
Yeah, and I think just as what I mentioned with the offense right there, that's what East does. It's going to wear you down from an offensive perspective for the Vikings if you've got to play tough man-to-man defense for that long. I think if we just talk about the shot clock, I know one team that would be in favor of it this game, and that will be the Vikings.
Mangold on the entry. Peck has it now between the circles. And now finds Howard. Peck has it deep along the sideline with 5:30 left to play in this first quarter. McCorkle, and again, you're content to run motion here. And Trace, as you mentioned, they're content, and I think you believe that the lower scoring game fits Lakota East in this one.
I think Coach Atkins said that, they're concerned about getting a good shot. They don't care how many passes it takes. They want to get a good shot. It might come off one pass. It might come off, he said 6 to 7. I'll say 15 to 16. It depends on however you want to look at it here. But I think that's a huge advantage for East. If you can run fundamental offense, you're going to get some heavy breathing going down by the Vikings because it's a lot harder to play defense and than to run offense. It just is from a stamina standpoint.
Howard in between the rings. Guarded well out there by Crawford. Peck fires up, three off the left wing, skips off, and now we got a foul down and as well. Looked like Alex Mangold was over the back of his man.
That's a good call. Mangold caught there. Having a foul 90 feet away from the basket, not something that I'm sure Coach Atkins would like, but we'll see. East did put on a lot of full court pressure against the Bombers of St. Xavier. We'll see if they do the same tonight, and it looks like they got a little token man-to-man pressure here. First
team foul of the ball game belongs to East, and the first personal belongs to Alex Mangold. 2-0 in favor of the Thunderhawks. Princeton on the move back the other way. Davis, and now drops it off. Stop and go for Randall into the forecourt. He pumps 15. Woo! He knocks it through.
Woo-hoo! Putting on a little shake and bake out there, isn't it, Jeff?
Absolutely. So Randall gets the first bucket for Princeton. We're not up at 2, our first tie of the ball game with 4:25 left to play here in this opening quarter. Randall came
Good
off the
pass.
bench, by the way.
Good block.
But he stepped out of bounds, out on the baseline, Khalil Davis, and seeing our first substitution come on in for Princeton. It looks like Bowen Hardman at 6'5", just a sophomore. He comes on in. Jaheim Thomas also into this ballgame, 6'4", a senior. So they go a little bigger, Princeton does. Johnson has the ball with 4:12 to play here in this first quarter. He is guilty of steps.
It was a great, on-ball pressure right there. Greg Johnson did a great job of really pressing, and when you do that, more often than not, although it seems at this level, at a high school level, you see even in college sometimes, handling the basketball is not easy. If you've got somebody that can get up in you, and I think Trevor Howard's proven that the other night, there was a lot of guards from St. X that were having a lot of problems handling the ball with Howard in front of them. Both these teams are going to try to do that. They have great athletes. They're both going to play physical man-to-man defense.
Man pressure quickly broken off. Randall held it and now brought it up for Davis. A little shake and bake, and he turns it over.
Give it up.
Here's Johnson coming down the near side. He'll wait for the rest of his troops. He post-entry is deflected. Intended for McCorkle, and here comes Princeton back the other way in transition, Khalil Davis.
It might be only 4-2, but man, is it up and down.
Davis had 22 last week in their game against St. X. 4-2, the first lead for Princeton. Here's a straight-on three. No good for Cole Peck.
Got man out top, Bowman. That's a foul.
To the rack he goes, and he missed the shot, but he'll go to the line.
Smart foul, might I ask. Borderline a situation, though, where, you're not expected. Howard certainly wasn't meaning any harm there, but, man, anytime you shove a kid in the back as he's going up, it can get a little scary sometimes, and you don't want it to turn into a situation where someone takes it personal. But Hardman go to the line for a few.
Hardman in his last game, as he hits the first one, was 4 of 7 against St. X. He had 8 points, 3 boards, and a block in that ball game. He gets the first free throw. Charlie Kenrich comes into the ballgame, 6'3", 210 pounds, a shooting forward, just a sophomore for Lakota East. He was a running back on the team this way, and an awfully good one. Meanwhile, Hardman gets both. So Kenrich had, I think, 700 yards this season as a running back, one of the many running backs that Lakota East employed over this season.
Multi-sport athlete. A lot to be made about that, isn't there, this day of age? I'll tell you.
6-2 in favor of Princeton. They're on a 6-0 run. Here's a spot on three, no good. And the rebound to Greg Johnson for Princeton. Little stop and go for Davis. Across the timeline he goes, draws the double, and throws it out to the side for Greg Johnson. Johnson draws the trap. Now holds on to it with 2:49. He fires up three. It's a little too long on the deep water shot.
This is where Johnson's so dangerous. Ooh.
Johnson dropping off for Peck, missed the connection. It's an automatic turnover. So that's 2 quick turnovers for the star Johnson.
Yeah, and I think that he forced that one just a smidge there. It's a tough catch in the lane. And the turnover bug just hasn't gone away quite yet for East. We'll see if they can't figure that out the rest of this game.
2-3 set up on the outset for Lakota East on this possession. 6-2 in favor of Princeton. Randall plays it back the other way. Johnson, beg your pardon, it's Davis. Davis a three! He knocks it down. So Davis has 5 quick points here in this ball game. It's 9-2 Princeton.
Yeah, you got to have an answer here for East. You got to have an answer at some point. You're stuck at 2 points for quite some time. Someone's going to have to make a play.
Since the opening minute of the ball game. Here's a straight-on three, in and out.
Man, someone from East got to take the lid off that basket. I'll tell you what, that ball is halfway down, popped back out. And you're kind of in not a danger zone here, but a situation where you need to find a little momentum. You can't let East get too far out ahead here.
I have to feel for Nathan Atkins, who took that shot. I mean, it was halfway down the well, and it came back out.
Yeah, I should say the Viking. Can't let the Vikings get too far out ahead.
I understood. We got you.
Yeah, figured you'd figure it out. One team's got 9, one team's got 2.
So a 9-0 run for the Vikings. 9-2 in favor of Princeton. Little stop and go. Kelvin Turner now plays it back for Khalil Davis. Davis back for Turner for three off the wing, no good. And a foul as Turner wrapped up his man down on the sideline.
Great box out right there by number 25, Charlie Kenrich. One of those situations where he tried to follow his shot, but when you got a guy out there boxing out as well as he did, you can't reach around him. You're going to pick up the foul every time.
That's the first on Turner. So that's the first team foul this quarter, this half, for the visiting Vikings, who own a 9-2 lead with 1:34 to play here in this period. And again, as you said, Trace, they really have to get something going on offense. Here's Johnson with the ball across the timeline. It's a stacked screen up high. The dump down low. Mangold, skip pass back for Johnson, spins in the lane, throws it up off glass, no good. The loose ball collected by Princeton. Jaheim Thomas. And quickly back the other way they go. Randall to the rack. And a blocking call down on the block. I think they're going to get Kenrich on that one.
They are, and I thought Johnson could have perhaps tried to cut him off. You knew he's going to try to drive there, and anytime you got a guy driving, the main goal at the very beginning is, most people would say stop the ball, and obviously that speaks for itself. But I always say just try to make him turn. You can't let him have a straight line drive to the basket, and that's what just happened with Diaris right there.
But your partner is Nathan Adkins, and the first free throw is good. Jamal Walker returns to this ball game for Princeton. Meanwhile, Randall gets them both. Princeton has been impressive to start this ball game, 11-2 with 1 minute to play here in this opening quarter. Again, another stacked screen. Johnson comes around it. Mangold goes in motion and now fills the lane. Coax right to the rack.
Needed it. Absolutely needed it at the end of the quarter here. They got to get what I would say, another stop and maybe another score, and you'll feel good going into the second quarter. But that's his game. Get inside, make a play, use your physical nature, and we'll see if they can't find more opportunities for Johnson like that moving forward.
Darius Randall guilty of the personal. That's his first, team second. And Johnson to the line where he's trying to complete the bonus, the three-point play. He does.
One quick note I want to point out is, our clock is very, very close to the official clock, but for any situation at the end of the quarter where someone might be watching, the clock is not our official clock. We'll see if we can't perhaps get the official clock going here in the near future, but for tonight, it's close, but not official.
Press broken and thrown away. Pass intended for Bowen Hartman deep along the sideline, and an unforced turnover with 41.7 seconds left to play here in this opening quarter.
Be interested to see what East does here. Do they try to take the last shot of the quarter with 41 seconds, or do they push the envelope and perhaps try to get another bucket and another turnover with another chance to score twice in the quarter here? We'll see.
Jaheim Thomas reemerges for the Vikings. 11-5 in favor of Princeton here in this one. On a relatively warm Friday night here in Liberty Township. I got to tell you, it's a little warmer than the last football games that we had seen. So here's Johnson, and mishandle it. He gets it back up high on the left. Now fills to the lane, and now returns it to Mangold. Peck gets a touch, and now we'll put it on the floor. 25 on the clock.
I think at this point, you definitely want to take the last shot. Down to 19 here.
Jaden Coles into the ballgame, gets a touch. And now it's Adkins in between the rings. 12 on the game clock. Johnson, would imagine, will take a shot on the one-on-one opportunity. He guts into the lane, pulls up at the free throw line, fires it up, no good. The rebound to Princeton. Here's a throw up from three-quarters court. It is no good. And this first quarter has come to a close. Your score after one period here at Lakota East, it's 11-5 in favor of Princeton. This is the game of the week here on Chatterbox Live. 11-5's your score here as we await the start of this second quarter. Along with Trace Fowler, I'm Geoff Kim. Thanks for joining us here for the game of the week here on Chatterbox Live. Our inaugural basketball game not just of the year, but ever.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Well, I'll say this: we're definitely going to get better. That's the cool thing, and I've said that time and time again. I hope people can appreciate what we're trying to put forth for the area and local sports. And at the end of the day, we're going to do our best. And I would just say this: the fall season was incredible. A lot of support. A lot of people told us how much they appreciate what we did, and we couldn't be more thankful for them. And really fell in love with a lot of communities, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I can think of Harrison and not smile. And this ball misplayed out to the far side, intended for Hardman out on the corner, and it belongs to Lakota East, down by 6 with just about 15 seconds gone by here in this second.
And we'll see if East can kind of clean it up here a little bit and tighten this game going into halftime. But you look up and you're only down 6. You got to feel pretty good about that.
Vikings will pick up at half court. Johnson's the ball handler. Peck has it up high on the right. Returns it. Mangold gets a touch at the top of the key. Puts it on the floor once. Johnson on the rotation. Again, no shot clock in high school, so they're going to motion for as long as they would like. Peck has it now, and they still can't come inside, and Trevor Howard gets a touch.
Yeah, I'd like to see them try to get the ball down into Mangold at one point. Yeah,
a long three, and he knocks it down.
I was going to say, a little bit of, you can't just go under a screen with the likes of Nate Johnson. That's kind of a little disrespectful to a certain extent, and he just said, you know what, if you're not going to guard me out here, I'll just shoot it. How about that?
Well, he has the last 6 points of this ball game. He has all 8 points for Lakota East. It's 11-8. Khalil Davis puts it on the floor.
Good move.
Into the lane, and a skip pass, and before that, we've got a foul on the floor.
Very quick, man. I tell you what, he can get to the lane any which way he wants.
McCorkle picks up the personal. That's his first.
Got a chance to do the Van Cave show with the Princeton Vikings, and we had Davis in there, Diesel as they call him there, as he takes the inbound. And he takes one from deep.
Are you kidding? And that one off the mark. Had that gone in, that would have been something. Here's Johnson into the lane, and now stopped out on the side. Oh, here's a straight on three. Knock it down. We're tied.
Here we go.
Trevor Howard with the trifecta. 9-0 run for Lakota East.
Oh, come on now. And the guys in stripes, so they got a tough job. I'm not here but I'll say this, and I'm not going to hold back all year long. I'm just going to let me be me, and there's just certain situations like that one right there. We've been playing up and down basketball. I didn't see a whole lot there.
Toby Peck guilty of the so-called hold, and already 16 fouls against the home team. Baseline jumper good. And a 2-point lead for Princeton. That bucket went on over to Iman Saeed. No, I'm sorry, I got the wrong roster. Rodney Harris. And back the other way, the bucket by McCorkle to tie it back up.
Tell you what, Princeton's got a lot of one-on-one basketball, which can be good, but at the same time,
look at that shot.
Nice
and
shot.
It goes through. Prayer answer for Greg Johnson.
I would always say, good offense will always beat good defense. You can't really stop a guy that has really good quickness and can make a jump shot, but at the end of the day, that can become a situation where it might be cold. Where we're heating up here now.
Elbow jumper, and now 10 points in the book for Nate Johnson, and he is hot. We're tied at 15. Here's a runner into the lane, and it's a charge. So Greg Johnson guilty of the offensive foul, and that's his first. So far we've had 4 ties in this ballgame. We're knotted up at 15 with 5:12 left to go until halftime. Fast-moving ball game here as Johnson gets another screen set up for him. And now they'll take it man for man. Try to set up Howard in the side. Now back to Johnson. His 3 is short. I think he realized it right after he took the shot. Johnson stop and go into the lane. Now drops it off to nobody.
Yeah, a little too much steam there. You can't throw a ball. You know, I always call that a little bit of a Brett Favre pass, per se. You can live with it and you can die with it, but sometimes when you're that close and you're that quick in the lane, that's nearly an impossible catch for anybody, let alone anybody that plays in the interior. So 15-15 quickly. Found some points on the board there, Geoff.
Well, amen for that. We were a little bit worried when Princeton went up 11-2. Howard has it and now dumps it off. Peck has it up high on the right. And again, they run the motion on the outside as he backs off on the dribble.
Oh,
they look inside, bat it away and take it away. Thomas on out to Randall. Returns it up on high, over for Turner. Nowhere to go, and now gives it up Davis. Hardman. Randall.
Good defense right now by the Thunderhawks. Great transition D, really. They really had a chance to.
Here's a three off the left wing. It's an air ball. And the ball knocked out of bounds, and it will stay up front. Last touch by the Thunderhawks. Looked like Peck was down there on the baseline, and he might have had a foot out of bounds when he got it.
Well, I think he accidentally pointed the wrong way, which some referees do.
He did.
And then he decided, you know what, I meant to call this for the Thunderhawks, but he definitely, without question, pointed towards the Vikings at the beginning. But nonetheless, good transition D there to finish my thought before the three. Ultimately, it looked as if Princeton had numbers and they might get a lay-in, and then next thing you know, good hustle-back defense from the Thunderhawks.
Adkins, Kenrich, and McCorkle back into this contest for the Thunderhawks. So, looks like Glenn Adkins freely substituting here in the middle minutes of this second quarter. 3:43 left to play till halftime. 15 off. Adkins gets a touch. They dump it down low.
Good pass.
And a slam home for Johnson.
The dunk's nice, but the pass set it up. Great interior passing right there by the Hawks.
17:50 as the crowd came alive on that one. Khalil Davis plays it to the near side. Kelvin Turner dives into the lane, wrap around, and it's a blocking call down low. And I think they're going to get Mangold on that one.
Yeah, I actually think, based off the rule, we'll see who they do give it on here, Geoff.
25, so it's going to be on Kenrich.
I was going to say, you know, that's one of the situations where I like the block call personally. I do think with the rule, it was a charge, though. The reason I said I liked block calls is because I think that arc is a big deal. They put it in college now. They put it in the NBA. Can't stand underneath the basket and take charges, in my opinion. As a little bit of the suction cup help there as the ball got stuck between the iron and the backboard, and it just kind of fell through there. But like I mentioned, man, you can't take a charge right underneath the basket, in my opinion. But I do think he was set. That's here nor there as a couple free throws go down for the Vikings.
Turner gets his first two of the ballgame. He had 5 in the last game against St. X a week ago. 17 all. Here's a deep three off the corner, no good. One shot and out for Kobe Peck. And here comes the Vikings tied at 17. Nearly a held ball there. A little stop and go. Here's a pop from 16. And this one left off the front of the rim. Jaheim Thomas cleans it up.
Great rebound. Good putback right there. Man, we got a good basketball game so far.
Got 2 points in this last game. His first 2 of the night. 19-17 in favor of Princeton. Double screen setup for Johnson to the well. He goes in. No good, but he'll go to the line. Jaheim Thomas picks up the personal. That's his first. So Johnson's been the story here in this one. 12 points here in the opening minutes of this contest. And he misses on the first free throw. He came in shooting right around 77% from the charity stripe this year. So he's got a good all-around floor game.
You mentioned he had 25 in the second half there before the broadcast started against X. Man, a lot of those came at the end of the game. X was trying to stay in it, kept fouling Johnson, and he just kept knocking him down, which helped a lot when it came to the point category. 1
for 2, 13 points to lead all scores for Nate Johnson. 19-18 in favor of Princeton. 2:23 left to play here in this first half. And a steal.
They got numbers.
2-on-1. Adkins back to Johnson to the wet.
Little bada bang, bada boom. Give and go right there by Johnson. A lot of players would have kept it themselves, not him. He gave it up early and got it back.
15 in the book. High-low pass, and now it's a travel. So the big man down low, guilty of steps. Jaheim Thomas. So it's 2019, and the lead has changed once more.
Love student sections in high school basketball, man. I know that you can get them out there for football, and that's all good, but, man, football just kind of drowns them out. Such a big area. Can't say the same for basketball.
Johnson in the middle of the floor. Misses, puts it back for 2 more. Boy, he is hot.
He's a player, man. I said as he goes, so will the Hawks, and that's so far proven it is true tonight.
22-19. He's got 17. 1:30 to play here in this half. Ball in the hands of Davis, puts it on the floor, and now we've got a foul as well as bodies went down.
Well, we'll see if they call it on the floor, in the air. Regardless, there should be some free throw shot as they are in the bonus.
Jaden Coles picks up the personal. He was well in the way of the ball handler. With 1:24 frozen on the clock, 22-19. There's an old ESPN line, if I may, as we go towards these free throws. In regards to Johnson, right now, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
That is very, very true. Heard that time and time again. Along with every other Dick Vitale, saying there ever was in the world. The diaper dandies. So although, not to cut you off, the diaper dandies seem to be almost half the kids anymore, huh?
Oh, I got to tell you. You're absolutely right on that. 1 of 2. And the rebound to, guess who? It's to Johnson. He's got the ball, looking for the high screen from Mangold, dumps it off, and now lost it, gets it back. Oh, he sets up a play. He has 3 ball, no good for his teammate Jaden Coles, but they return it and get it up on high. Atkins gets a touch, back to Johnson. Gets a screen from Mangold.
Man, he's
taking it
just
right
too
to
good.
the rack and 1!
Too good. Well, I'll tell you this, Jeff. You got great athletes out there for the Vikings. Honestly, Vikings got better athletes than Lakota East does. But at some point, there's one man out there that's beating you. And you got to find a way, whether you go boxing one, whether you start to play zone, force somebody else to start making some baskets. Otherwise, I don't know how many Johnson's going to have tonight, but it's going to be a lot.
Howard, McCorkle, and Kenrich come back into this ball game for Lakota East. 24-20. Here's Johnson. He ices the free throw. He's got 20 in this first half. 20.
And East got 25, excuse me.
25-20. 45 ticks of the clock left to go till halftime. He's got as many points as Princeton does. Stop and go. Randall spots up. Long range, no good. And here comes Lease.
You got numbers.
Johnson ahead of the pack, and he
throws
it
steal.
away.
Showtime.
And now here's a nice reverse lay-in for Greg Johnson.
If you're East here, don't get too much in a hurry. This is not the game you want to play. This is not the game you want to play. You got the chance to take the last shot of this half. Make sure you do so.
Peck gets a touch and plays it back to McCorkle. 1-on-1 up on top, sets a high screen for Johnson.
Got to double him. You got to double him. Make him give the ball up.
Johnson on the move, throws it, skips. Here's the jumper in the lane, puts it up and in! At the buzzer for McCorkle. His 4th point of the night makes it a 5-point lead, 27-22. An excellent finish here in the first 16 minutes of this contest for Lakota East, in particular for Mr. Nate Johnson, who's got 20 tonight. We'll take a timeout right here. When we come back, we'll break down the first half and look ahead to half number 2 on the Game of the Week here on Chatterbox Live. We're at halftime here in Liberty Township. 27-22 in favor of the home team, Lakota East, over the Princeton Vikings. Along with Trace Fowler, I'm Geoff Kim. Glad to have you along. It's the Game of the Week here on Chatterbox Live. And It's been an impressive show as we look at the first half numbers. But first, before we do that individually, young Mr. Johnson has been impressive, but leading everybody with 20 points in this contest.
Yeah, he really, I know the term it's used an awful lot, put the team on his back. He's been doing that the first half. We'll see. We didn't even mention a guy by the name of Mangold, really good player. Haven't really brought him up a whole lot because Johnson's really stole the show. But at the end of the day, I think the Vikings on the other side look up at the score and they have 22 points. And I think that goes exactly in which the way East wanted to play this game, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that it can't change. I think the Vikings there towards the end of the half started to speed up East a little bit. They wanted to run and gun. That's I think that plays into the hands of the Vikings. We'll see how it goes in the second half.
Let's take a look at the first half numbers up on your screen. And right now, as you see, I think one of the things that kind of goes unmentioned, but it should be mentioned in a 5-point ball game, it's the rebound advantage.
Yeah, I think that I always say, and I've said this time and time again, I'm sure if you're my brother, he probably rolled his eyes oftentimes when I would tell him, my younger brother, it's like rebounding the basketball is incredibly important. Everybody wants to talk about turnovers and all these things. At the end of the day, if you don't get a rebound, a defensive rebound at that, it's a turnover. If you're giving the other team extra possessions, and we'll see if that doesn't change, I guess, for either side. But I think for the most part, it's been even as it indicates, 13-10 there.
And of course, putback points are so important. In fact, East has 5 of its 13 rebounds on the offensive glass.
Yeah, I think that ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to become a situation where who can control the pace. I mean, we can sit here and we can talk about rebounds, we can talk about turnovers, we can talk about points, whatever it may be. But I think at the end of the day, find a way to control the pace. Princeton has got to find a way to make this game a little more up-tempo, or else I don't think they're going to like the scoreboard at the end.
So 27-22. A 5-point lead at intermission. Nate Johnson has been spectacular in this ballgame. 28 points in each of the last 2 games. He has 20 first half points. Trace, as you mentioned, he had 25 in the second half against St. X in their game Tuesday. So, he's been quite something. So we're just about set to go. Lakota East will inbound from half court. And it goes to Johnson, and away we go here in half number 2. So he has the ball. Guarded there by Greg Johnson. He drops it off. McCorkle gets a touch, and we got a hold on the near sideline. So just 13 seconds gone on by here in this second half. The foul's going to be on Hardman. That's, I believe, his second. Beg your pardon, that's his first. So the first team foul of this half coming just 13 seconds into this second half. Free throws weren't really a factor. The bonus or the double bonus really wasn't a big issue. We'll see if that becomes more of an issue here in half number 2 as the game gets what we anticipate to be a little tighter. So they'll inbound in from quarter court. Howard will toss in. Johnson has it. Nate is picked up by Greg Johnson. In between the rings and drops it back off. Kobe Peck plays to McCorkle, and now back to the outside Mangold. Back to McCorkle and hits blocked away, but the pass on the outlet is intercepted. Here's a 3 for Johnson. He knocks it down.
Wow. Yeah, you can't turn the ball over that quickly once you get a defensive stop in a situation here where the Vikings playing a little sloppy basketball.
His second trifecta of the night, 23 in the book for Johnson. 30-22. This is the biggest lead of the ball game for either team. No, I take that back. We had a 9-point lead for Princeton early in the first quarter. And since then, East has clamped down on defense. Johnson drops it off. Hardman, spin in the lane, goes glass, and a pretty shot. Yeah, good shot. I think the thing about Princeton is they are incredibly talented, man. They got a good group of players. Question is can they find a way to play some team basketball to where right now all their points have really come off of just athleticism and playing one-on-one basketball. McCorkle, Johnson, and now back to the far side. Here's Peck. Stuck on the elbow. Here's the kick out. Here's a 3 off the wing, and it rolled on through.
Shooter's touch, as they say right there. Howard, I think 2 for 2 behind the arc.
He is. 6 points in the book for Trevor Howard. 33-24. Driving the lane, no good. McCorkle comes up with it. Goes up front, Peck. Peck to the rack. No good. Hardman the rebound. And the pace has picked up just a bit here in the first minute.
That it has. And we'll see Hardman decides to drive the lane here. Shoot the ball.
Mangold on the interception. Good hands by the big man. 9-point lead equals the biggest lead of this contest. And here's Peck with the ball. Checked by Randall. Beg your pardon, it's Khalil Davis. Now Johnson gets it, puts it on the floor, slips, pops from the elbow, and he got 2 more. 25 for Nate Johnson.
Might be an all-time night right here for Johnson.
35-24. This is now the biggest lead of the ball game. Khalil Davis lost the handle on the sideline, and he is tied up.
Wow. They're going to give a timeout right there to the Vikings. I don't know if I agree with that.
So that's the first timeout charged to the visiting Vikings. Other games going on as we await the resumption of action. Sycamore visits Fairfield tonight. Princeton and Lakota East. Hamilton at Mason. Oak Hills at Middletown. And Lakota West at Colerain. And if I understand correctly, Colerain and Oak Hills, this is their first game of the year. It's now December. Now, Colerain does have an excuse to a certain extent.
I almost think that they schedule like that a little bit on purpose to a certain degree. They expect to make deep, long runs in the playoffs, but no offense to Oak Hills, that ain't the case.
I think, if I recall, Oak Hills went 0 in the conference this year in football.
They went 0 for the season, unfortunately, and it goes that way sometimes.
Randall has it on the entry, dives in the lane, dumps it off, and before that can happen, charge.
Good call, good play. Mangold was there, has set his feet, had good position, and just took the charge.
So Randall picks up his second personal. That's the second team foul of this half.
I like this move by Princeton if they're going to stay in. And I think you got to start pushing the tempo here and see if you can't force a few turnover here by East.
Token full court, quickly broken. Peck has it. Jump pass over for Johnson, fills the lane. Now wrap around pass, kicks it back outside, and they'll reset. Mangold has it. He'll dribble out. Peck mishandles, and it's taken away from him, and a foul as Peck got the ball handler as Greg Johnson got the steal away from him.
And McCorkle would like to have that back right there on that offensive possession. They had a good ball movement as the flow of the offense was kind of moving to the right, and he decided to kind of make a cutback drive to the lane, and the defense was already there. But again, if you're the Vikings, got to find a way to put the ball in the basket here and get a little momentum.
Second on Peck, 35-24 with 4:36 to play here in quarter number 3. Nate Johnson leading the way with 25 in this ball game. Khalil Davis kicks it out. Hardman for 3 off the left wing, no good. And the rebound fought for and taken away. Nate Johnson taking it off the floor in a hurry. He lost the handle. It's a 2-on-2. Down the lane is Davis to the rack, and the foul coming on the floor.
Great foul again. I don't know if I agree with it. I think at the end of the day is one of those, that's why they put the continuation rule in the NBA, that exact example right there. But good foul right there by Howard. Saved a bucket.
That's his second on Howard. Team fouls are even at 2. Entry play to Randall, top of the key.
I don't know if the Vikings have noticed, but oh no.
And they've somebody on the floor on the near side away from the ball. It's going to be on Khalil Davis.
Yeah, Khalil Davis kind of said, I don't know. It could have gone either way. It was a screen, a legal screen as they called it. But at the end of the day, I don't know if Princeton's picked up on this yet, but East is switching screens right now. And if that's the case, then you got to find a way to be able to put Mangold on a guy, one of your guards, and see if you can't find a leverage matchup there. So a little more token pressure, what it looks like there for the Vikings in defense.
Atkins and Kenrich into this ball game.
trying to set up. It looks like they've finally gone to zone here for a minute. Nope, they're going to stick man-to-man.
Jaden Coles, who has the ball, also into this ball game. Underneath the hoop, stuck there, and off the hands of Johnson.
Good
Davis
pass.
Out to Hardman for three, off the rim, no good. The put back by the big man, no good. And the foul coming on up. I think they're going to get Peck again as he went in against the shooter, Darius Randall. Now they're going to get Kenrich, apparently. I didn't see Kenrich there, but he picks up his first.
Darius Randall did a good job of kind of, I don't want to say flopping is the not right word, but certainly put on the display that he was going to shoot the ball and picked up a pair of free throws.
First one is good. Darius Randall had a couple of free throws back in the first half. 4 points, now 5 points. He came into this ball game a perfect 4 for 4 at the line. And he got them both. Full court pressure. Johnson tosses Peck, and now they'll break off the pressure. Now they'll double the handler. He lost the handle. It's stolen away. And timeout. I don't know.
I do believe it's a timeout. Now, I don't know if they're going to discuss this in a huddle and figure out whether they should give it to him or not.
Because Calvin Shaw, who had the steal, did not have possession, right?
No, it wasn't that. What happened is Coach Green wasn't the one that actually called the timeout. It was one of his assistants. I don't know the rule on that, but in my opinion, if there's any call that comes from the bench, I think it should be a timeout.
Right.
And you could see him even talking to Coach Green saying, I heard timeout, I blew the whistle. The problem is that I have in this situation is you bailed the Vikings out in a situation where they were either going to travel, lose the ball. Let's see what they come up with here. They're just going to call it side out of bounds. Wow. A little bit of a break for the Vikings, in my opinion.
That's actually a big break given where we are in the ball game. 35-26, because right now, a couple extra buckets right now, and you're just managing minutes for the rest of the game. 3:27 frozen on the clock. Waiting to see the trigger from Johnson. He'll go into the backcourt to Darius Randall. He'll come up unabated across the timeline. Lakota East playing man.
Run some good offense here if you're the Vikings. Set some screens, move the ball. It's too stagnant right now.
Spin in the lane. Oh, a nice looking shot. And put down there by big number 23, Calvin Shaw.
Good D.
Johnson. So Shaw guilty of the hold, and that's his first. Nate Johnson has it, comes up high onto the left point. Shaw checks him. Against some motion. Kenrich.
Good ball
skips
movement.
It back to Johnson for three. He knocks it down. Timeout. 38-28. Mercy.
Well, just like that, I mean, the beginning of this game, it seemed like East couldn't buy a bucket, and now it's almost like the Vikings can't buy a bucket. Good news is, though, for the Vikings, they have the players, they have the talent to be able to kind of scrap their way back into this. But, man, have they taken a punch, and not just from East, but, my gosh, Nate Johnson. What a night.
Well, I guess the number 28 certainly works for him. I mean, he might have to change jersey numbers at this point. He had 28 in the first game against Taft. He had 28 on Tuesday night against St. X. He's got 28 right now.
Well, I'm going to go on a limb and say that he might surpass this number tonight with 34. It's just one of those situations where, you know, some days you come to the gym and then just you feel right, and the ball just goes to the hoop, and you get in a little bit of a zone. And it's not like he's just driving it in the lane and laying it in. I mean, he's hitting jump shots. He's you know, I would say if you're the Vikings, you really can't say you played poor defense on him.
Right.
It's just sometimes good players make, make better plays than their defender, and that's what's going on tonight with Johnson.
Well, you made a fine comparison with him from an overall game standpoint in our pregame, and one of the things I thought that really caught my attention was his ability to step through and make a pass when he was in traffic or take a shot. And so when you see that and see him walk out to the outside, his ability to hit the jumper when he's hot has been something else. 38-28 as we come out of the timeout, 2:38 to play here in this third quarter. Randall has it, stationary dribble, plays back to Khalil Davis, top of the key, and he plays a little tag there with his running mate at guard. Dives, now pulls up, the jumper from 12, no good. And the rebound down to Nathan Adkins for Lakota East. High screen set for Johnson. He lost the handle, but it's saved by Kenrich. Draws a double and now plays Adkins. Oh, here's a three on the wing. Knock it down. Trevor Howard with another trifecta.
A little bit of a danger zone right now for the Vikings. Got to find a way to put the ball in the basket.
41-28. Under 2 to play here in this third quarter. Davis stuck on the baseline, and he lost it out of bounds.
You just got to start running some offense. I love East for one reason and one reason only, is because they know who they are and they stick to it and they play identity basketball. You're going to play them. They're going to play tough man-to-man defense, and they're going to run motion offense. They're going to motion you to the death until they get a good shot.
Oh, a nice bit of ball handling, but a missed shot by Kenrich, and here comes Princeton back the other way. Stop and go on the dribble for Davis. Into the lane, draws the double. Hardman, nice step around. Corner jumper, got it from 15. So he got it from the elbow, beg your pardon, and it's 41-30, and a timeout. Timeout charge to visiting Princeton, and again, it bears mentioning that the story of the game continues to be Nate Johnson with his 28 points, just 2 below the whole team total for Princeton here in this one. And I think coming on in, we thought the more athletic matchup would favor Princeton, but every time they've moved it down the floor, they've kind of seen a resistance to not play a half-court set, but to kind of play backyard or driveway basketball.
Well, I think at the end of the day, they have a lot of athletes. It's easy to do that. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of being able to beat your man one-on-one. You can do that when you're playing in the backyard. When you got 5 guys out there that are playing good team defense, it doesn't always work. And I think, the score indicates you got 30 points. You scored 80 against X. Something's missing here. Now, that being said, you're only down 11 with, 9 minutes and 18 seconds left to play in this game. I just think I have one question for you, too, as we get to another break, though. I'll bring it up right now as they do get a turnover off the pressure. It seems to me, and this is a bugaboo of mine, I got to start asking some more coaches, and I just can't quite understand it. East makes a run. They call timeout. Princeton starts to get something going. They call timeout. I thought the idea was to keep your own momentum. I've seen that in high school basketball throughout the last few years, and I just don't understand the idea of calling timeouts when you got some momentum.
It is rather interesting as we await the inbound from the baseline. And it goes to Davis. So sometimes people, or coaches in particular, try to overthink the room, right? You want to be the smartest guy in the room, and sometimes you want to go against the paradigm. As the jumper is no good from 15 for Randall, and here comes Lakota East. Back the other way. McCorkle plays it to his running mate at guard, Howard. And they'll reset.
Tell you what, if they're going to play zone right here, just pull the ball out, hold it, take the last shot. That's exactly what they're due. Well-coached team in Atkins.
McCorkle has it. He plays it over to Jaden Coles.
Switched up, started playing man-to-zone now, or man-to-man instead of the zone.
Exchanges for Howard. And now returns to Coles. 30 on the game clock.
They're set on running this thing all the way down and taking the last shot. The question is, will they turn it over before they get a shot?
McCorkle, and they continue to run the weave up high. Nathan Atkins finally gets a touch, and back over for McCorkle. 15 on the game clock. So you can say this is beautiful to watch from if you have the lead, and this is horrible to watch if you're behind. Mangold gets a touch, and he throws it away. Intended for Atkins on the near sideline with 7.5 seconds left to play here in this third.
Yeah, and they did a good job. They're trying to get Johnson a little bit of rest over there, but that's one of those situations where you'd love to have him on the floor and you give him the ball with about 12 seconds left and let him create. But we'll see if they can't get some momentum here for the Vikings going into this fourth quarter.
Princeton's down 11, 41-30 in this contest. And up the floor they go in a hurry. Randall dumps it off. Johnson fires from the baseline, no good. In and out, halfway down the well, and cannot get satisfaction on that shot. So your score after 3, it's Lakota East leading Princeton 41-30. This is the game of the week here on Chatterbox Live. Just about ready to start this final quarter here in Liberty Township, 41-30 in favor of the Thunderhawks over the Princeton Vikings. Along with Trace Fowler, I'm Geoff Kim. We thank you for joining us here for the game of the week here on Chatterbox Live. Our inaugural basketball game of the season, week number 2 technically, though to be honest, I think, over Thanksgiving when they did start the initial high school basketball season, we were still mindful of the high school football season, which had just finished in Division II in particular. And congratulations to LaSalle. Wow, they were impressive.
Yeah, they weren't much of a match for anybody. I will give Massillon a lot of credit. They were in the game at halftime. Not sure if you've seen the score, 21-17, I believe, at half. Turned out, ended up being 31-17. Not that we need to get into this, into the weeds on this broadcast, but man, there's something to be said about they're inbounding the ball early.
Yeah, they are. And away we go here in the fourth. Hardman gets a touch, and now Randall plays Davis up high on the right. Checked by Johnson, and now dumps it off on the near side. It goes to Greg Johnson, who dribbles it back out. Well, they need to start thinking about shots here, and they're not getting a lot of satisfaction here in the half court. Stop down in the paint area. Johnson dumps it off. Here's a jumper from the baseline,
much better
and good.
Offense. Much better offense right there for the Vikings. I know that we want to try to get some volume of shots, but quality shots are what they need to focus on. They haven't had many of those this game, and that was a good job by them, running some offense and getting a good shot.
Kelvin Turner gets his first bucket. He has 4 points. Here's Johnson with the ball. McCorkle.
Good pass
and now
by
here's
Mangold.
A 3. Pack for 3. He knocks it down.
Good passers make good shooters, Jeff, and Mangold just found him in the corner. Great pocket pass right there.
7 threes as a team, and here's the answer the other side.
Look at Hardman coming in and answering it quickly as they got to stop play here to fix the net. But that's what you need to do if you're the Vikings. Get quality shots, and they've had that on back-to-back possessions.
Full court pressure, quickly broken. Oh, here's Johnson in the lane, stripped on his way up.
Man, I don't know. We're all the way up here, but boy, did it look nice and clean up from up here.
Khalil Davis picks up the personal. That's a 15 foul for the visiting Vikings. 6:51 left to go to the conclusion, we think, in this one. Now, we did see a buzzer beater in the junior varsity game preceding this one tonight, and Johnson gets the first. (45-35). Johnson taking his time. He lets it fly. He's got 30 tonight. Nice. 30. Hardman on the stop and go. Dumps it off. Johnson up high. Now tries to penetrate and kicks it out. No shot there. And now the skip pass back to Hardman. He fires up 3 off the corner. He knocks it down.
He can get hot. He can get hot in a hurry, as we sound when we did the show with him. Boy, was he just putting in bucket after bucket during practice.
46-38.
This is where East needs to be mindful and run offense. You don't want to get in a track meet here with Princeton. Just take your time and run good offense.
Mangold on the 12-footer, no good. And the rebound to Kelvin Turner. Pitches it quickly up the head to Hardman, who returns it right back. Johnson looking for a lane, draws the double, and now gives it up for Randall. He spots up a straight-on 3, no good. And the ball still loose on the floor, and it belongs to Lakota East. So we picked up the pace here a little bit. If nothing else, there's a sense of urgency now for Princeton.
Absolutely, and I think that's working in their favor. They need to continue to try to press the D here and see if they can't force some turnovers.
Bounce pass up front into the forecourt, and we've got a foul. Trevor Howard was trying to receive it. Darius Randall was in the way on the push. Actually, it's on Davis, beg your pardon. 2, not 3.
Yeah, I think East has been fortunate here on a few possessions where I think, as you can see with the frustration, Khalil Davis thinks he's had a few steals, and I kind of tend to agree with him.
Johnson working off a screen from Mangold. Howard thought about the shot. Now he throws it away. Turner throws it up into the front.
Good pass. Good pass.
Here's Davis for 3, in and out.
Wow.
Mangold the rebound for Lakota East.
What a big shot that was right there.
The bench was ready to come alive on that one. Johnson into the lane. He missed the jam. Here's Hardman for 3.
Big time.
Now we got timeout.
5-point swing right there. Lickety split just like that. Missed the dunk on one end. Hardman with the 3 on the other. And just like that, 5 minutes to go. 5-point game.
Timeout and a nice little run being put on by Hardman for these visiting Vikings. And right now, 46-41. Just a couple of minutes ago, we saw a double-digit lead. And honestly, Lakota East was just a couple of buckets away from just icing this one away. Not the case now.
Well, I think that they kind of got away with what I think is their bread and butter, and that's running motion offense. A couple quick shots. I'm not saying they were bad shots, but at the end of the day, it wears on you on the offensive end. I've said that time and time again. When you got to run around and chase your man through multiple screens on the defensive end, when you finally get the rebound and you take it back down to the other end, there's a little bit of fatigue because you played defense for 40, 50, 60 seconds. And I think that's a little bit of it.
So if you're in that huddle, as you're seeing here, if you're Clint Atkins, what are you saying to your Thunderhawks right now?
Well, you tell them you're up by 5, and you remind them that you've played good basketball all game long, and you got the basketball right now. Take care of it. They're going to try to turn you over. But 2 things. 1, if you have an advantage down on this end, if you break the press, finish. Otherwise, let's run good offense. We've done it all year.
Again, full court pressure, and it's token pressure, and it's nearly picked off. Saved by Lakota East. McCorkle saved it. He goes up into the forecourt. High-low pass for Peck. Down low on the block and returns it up high. Oh, here's a spot up 3. Knock it down. Again, Howard.
Howard is the man outside of Johnson tonight.
15 in the book for Trevor Howard, all from behind the arc. 49-41. Here's the answer on the other side. No good. Howard came up with it, and he was fouled. Greg Johnson pulled him down from behind.
And another quick shot for the Vikings. It's a situation where I get it. You just seen them hit a 3. They got some momentum, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to come down and try to answer it just like that. Run some offense. Get yourself in a position where you might get a little bit of better shot. That being said, just as the Vikings got momentum, it seems like all game long, somehow East has taken it back.
Well, there's an old saying, and, of course, the three-point line hasn't been around forever, so how old it actually is debatable. On the first free throw is good. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. So sometimes when you get those game-changing shots, they do kill you on the other side. Gets them both. 51-41, 17 for Howard. He's been a nice complimentary piece tonight. Pass down into the corner, and skip pass is batted away and thrown
got
away.
Numbers.
Here's a 2-on-1. Up ahead for Johnson.
Showtime.
He throws it down. .53-41. Got a foul on the other end, a hold coming up. So Howard picks his 3rd on the hold with 4:05 left to go in this contest. And that swing of points, especially when you think about the 3 and then the subsequent dunk, has been big. Here's the entry to Hardman, who's been hot here in this late minutes. Davis on the jab step, puts it on the floor. Stuck at the angle, and now he puts it up, no good. McCorkle gets the rebound for Lakota East. Here's Johnson in traffic, a little stop and go, and that's a blocking call.
Yeah, I mean, it's a block. That's the term. Look up the definition of a block, and that was it right there.
That's the 4th on Khalil Davis, and he'll have to come out. Jamal Walker will take his place in the lineup for Princeton. So Johnson will go to the line.
Lived here last game. Got himself quite a few points at the line at the end of the game last time. We'll see if he's able to do it again as he missed the front end.
Here comes Princeton, down by 12. Little stop and go. Here's Hardman off the pass. He knocks it down. So he's turned it up a notch here in the second half.
That he has. You got to start giving him the ball. Give him the basketball every time down. And if I was Green, I'd tell my team, if he doesn't touch it, we're doing something wrong.
Atkins in the forecourt. Gives it up. Johnson draws the double. Back to Atkins. Passes up the shot and now passes it back outside. It'll stay up front. Intended for Johnson. And the other Johnson, Greg Johnson, batted out of bounds onto the sideline.
Yeah, this is a situation where if you're East, you don't want to get in a position where you're just trying to hold this thing out until the game's over. Princeton's just playing, hectic defense, as I would call it. You're going to have some openings if you're patient with the ball right here. Find the man that's open, make a crisp pass, and lay the ball in.
There's McCorkle right to the rack.
Wow, not a whole lot of team defense right there by the Vikings. And just, again, a bad break, as I would call it, for the Vikings. It looked like they were going to be able to get the turnover there. Turns out the ball kind of bounced around, ended up going out on the Vikings, and just like that, East takes a 55-44 lead.
And a timeout with 3:12 left to go here in regulation. And what had once been a 6-point ball game has ballooned back up right now to our current 11-point contest. And while Hardman's kept them into the ball game offensively, right now there's just no answer between the combination of Nate Johnson and then now Trevor Howard, who had really come alive here in the second half.
Yeah, Howard, what a story he's become here this game. Hasn't missed a shot behind the arc. And whenever you're that efficient as a player, it just helps your team tremendously. At the end of the day, Johnson can't do it all by himself. He damn near tried the first half and he was successful. But you're playing over the course of 36 minutes. You don't expect one guy to be able to carry your team entirely to a victory. Johnson needed, if you will, Howard to step up and make a few big plays. He did that tonight. But this game's not over. I mean, the Vikings have proven already they got some firepower. If they can find ways to get a few turnovers, Hardman stays hot. Darius Randall catches a few passes in break and finishes at the rim, perhaps. Next thing you know, I think the goal is here, if you're inside the huddle for Green, you tell your team, hey, let's segment this down. With 2 minutes left in the game, let's make it a 5-point game.
And with Hardman shooting the ball as well as he has, that's a possibility. Lakota East will pick up full court.
A little token pressure here. I'd be completely shocked if they have any kind of a trap defense. I think you're going to try to force them to run a little bit of offense, a little bit of clock, as they do go token pressure.
Token pressure, Randall handles. Up high on the right point, coming up on 3 minutes to play in this ball game. Stuck by McCorkle, now drives the lane past him, dumps it off. Oh, a nice put in, no good. Rebound, put back, no good. And the ball rattles out of bounds. It'll stay up front. Greg Johnson had 2 looks at the basket, could not finish.
Yeah, got to finish around the rim in these situations.
Ball will stay up front. Johnson to throw in. Looking left. Throwing. Oh, a nice post entry. Darius Randall for 2.
Got to get a couple turnovers here.
Randall has 8. Here's Nate Johnson with the ball. Dumps it off McCorkle. He's picked up some more touches here late in the second half. He draws the double. Peck has the ball now with 2:34 left to go.
If you're the Vikings, you got to start throwing a little bit of a trap in here. Otherwise, they're going to run a lot of clock.
Atkins does quick touch pass. Now back to Johnson. Fills the lane, throws one up and in. Do they count it? It's on the floor. No, they'll count the bucket and the foul. He's got 34.
Well, I said quite some time ago, I think he's going to at least match his number, if not exceed it. See if he can't put it through for 35 on the night.
No good. Well, he does match his jersey number tonight so far in scoring. Stop and go for Randall. Kicks it out. Stolen away. Atkins up the floor. McCorkle into the forecourt. And we got a foul on the reach-in.
It's a quality basketball team Lakota East has. You know, there's not, besides Johnson, I know he's gonna kind of be the star. Everyone's gonna talk about him. We're gonna talk about him. But just they got a lot of good quality pieces around him as well. And they're gonna be a tough out. And I know last year they were a tough out, and it took the Moeller Crusaders of all teams to knock them out of the tournament. And can't hold your head too low when the Moeller Crusaders knock you out of anything anymore. It seems as if, you know, OHSA comes up with this competitive balance. It's tough to have competitive balance in D1, but my goodness.
I saw, related to football, and maybe not basketball, but to football, I saw a tweet from our tag team partner Reed Mouse today alluding to where LaSalle should be playing in from a divisional standpoint. I thought it was humorous.
Yeah, and I actually agree with him.
So 1 for 2 at the line. Here's now a skip pass. Here's a 3 off the corner, no good. And the rebound snatched away by Nate Johnson, who has been Bugs Bunny tonight. Oh, a high-low pass, and Peck collects. Now we'll have to dribble out. Adkins gets a touch, draws the double, and plays back on over for Howard. Over for McCorkle, drives the lane from the baseline. He draws the foul.
That's a great job. Absolutely fantastic job right there by number 3, Jared McCorkle. Everybody in the gym was telling him to shoot the wide open 3. Had a little moxie to him, a little bit of smarts. He knew the time, he knew the score, and he knew the situation, and he decided, you know what, that's not maybe the highest percentage shot. Let me hold on to it a little bit longer, get in the lane, and he draws a foul and puts his first one through.
So that's the 4th, by the way, on Greg Johnson. McCorkle will make 1 of 2 on this trip down to the line this time around. Quickly up the floor, here comes Princeton. Johnson, outside. Here's the pitch out. Here's the throw for a long range. It's not a 3. And the loose ball collected by, guess who?
That man again.
Nate Johnson's been, again, Bugs Bunny tonight. He lost the ball. He got it back, and now that's a foul.
That's got to be a foul on number 34, right? I hope so. It is. Good call. Johnson kind of lost control of it and really just held up. Didn't catch who got the steal there for the most part, but ultimately a little too late for the Vikings.
1:20 left to play here in this ball game, 59-46. I think all you and I are waiting for is an exclamation point. Hardman up high. Checked by Johnson. Dumps it back off on high. Khalil Davis, stop and go, pumps into the lane, and now a little reach-in call on Peck.
Yeah. Some would say they're trying to even up the fouls. I don't know. I don't ever believe in that, truthfully, but for a game that's been this up and down, I'm not too sure about that one.
Mangold comes back in for Adkins, ostensibly to close out this ball game. Shot up, no good. Rebound, Johnson. Johnson on the back line, checked by Hardman, and 1 minute left to go. Oh, and a great screen by Mangold, who knocks down a man, and now his man is still down. I mean, I got to tell you, that screen on Mangold was unbelievable, and we still have a Viking down at center court.
Yeah, it was legal. I mean, I certainly hope he's okay, but at the end of the day, that was a legal screen, and it's very important when you're playing defense, team defense at that, is if your man, the guy you're guarding, or your responsibility, I should say, on defense, if he's setting a screen, you got to let the man know that there's a screen coming. And right there, he just didn't catch it. So,
well, tough break here. We need a timeout, so we'll take one right here. 59-46. Lakota East about ready to wrap this one up on the Game of the Week right here on Chatterbox Live. Greg Johnson coming off the floor. He had hit the deck pretty hard off that really unbelievably well-placed screen by Mangold, but he comes off under his own power, and with 52.2 seconds left to go to the conclusion of this one, it's 59-46. Along with Trace Fowler, I'm Geoff Kim. Thanks for joining us on the Game of the Week here on Chatterbox Live. Week number 2, and it's our first broadcast of the year coming off of Thanksgiving. We wanted to make mention of this, right? So we were a little preoccupied by high school football, by Thanksgiving, and of course by the game. In which I do understand that you have quite a few people in your office who are a little unhappy by the result of that one.
A couple of them for sure. I would say I'm not much of a Buckeye fan. I am a big Georgia Bulldog fan. I'm got a big game coming up tomorrow, and I can't wait for it.
Well, I don't have a real problem with rubbing it in on Reed Mouse, I got to tell you. That was a beautiful game by the Buckeyes up in the big house. And they're content to run motion, I believe, for the rest of this ball game. Johnson has it with 20 seconds left to go.
Almost look like the Vikings have kind of succeeded here. They've decided that the fate is what it is, and this game is over.
This is the equivalent of the victory formation, and now we've got a foul.
No, they're going to call 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Which is a little wild.
I didn't think the defender, Johnson was that close.
He wasn't, but hey, 5 seconds it is, and we'll wrap it up and see if the Vikings can put one more bucket in the basket here.
Here's Randall, kicks it out. Here's a three, knock it down for Jamal Walker, and that is it. Your final score here in Liberty Township tonight, as the home team, Lakota East stays unbeaten. They go away winners 59-49 over Princeton, who falls to 1-1 on the season. A beautiful way to wrap things up behind 34 points by big number 34, Nate Johnson. We're due for a timeout. We'll come back to wrap things up courtside when we return. This is the Game of the Week here on Chatterbox Live. Back to wrap things up here in Liberty Township. 59-49 the final again here in this ball game. Our Game of the Week here on Chatterbox Live, along with Trace Fowler. I'm Geoff Kim. We put a wrapper to this one. Lakota East improves to 3-0 on the season, their first conference win of this 2019-2020 campaign. Princeton falls to 1-1, 0-1 in the GMC. Trace, the story begins and ends with 34 points tonight by Nate Johnson.
Yeah, we talked about it before. As he goes, so do the Thunderhawks. And, the opposite side of the ball for me, I was interested in looking forward to coming in here and watching the Princeton Vikings, and tonight just wasn't their night, and sometimes that happens. But at the end of the day, for the Vikings, they're going to run into this, especially into this league. There's going to be some teams that play very, very good man-to-man defense. The question is can you use your athleticism to your advantage by running an offense? You can't just expect the Stars, in which they have them, to kind of be able to beat guys man-on-man, one-on-one all night long and win against a quality opponent like East. Tonight wasn't tonight, but again, this is a long, long season. We are in the very, very early stages at the beginning of December. You don't really start, and I would say that there's all the games are meaningful. Not here to say they're not, but at the end of the day, the meaningful games really start in February.
Absolutely. Trevor Howard in support got 17 points. 14 of them came in the second half tonight. He had 5 threes.
Yeah, and I think he was really the X factor. I mentioned before the game, love the kid, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Very, very active defensively, came in and off the offensive set so far this year, although we weren't privy enough to the Taft stats. I think they just got them up, but we weren't privy enough to them. I know so far this season he hasn't missed from 3 unless he missed in the first game. So he can't be much more efficient than that behind the arc, and realistically tonight I think that not just him, they played great team defense, and I think that was the difference. When you hold an opponent that scored 80 against a good St. Xavier Bomber team to 49, you're going to have success.
What a finish here again for Lakota East as they improved to 3-0 on the season. The Princeton the Princeton
Vikings.
Beg your pardon. I knew it would get me at some point. It's about time they got me here in the post game.
Well, the Princeton Tigers, to your defense,
yes,
they exist.
Yes.
They just play in college.
They just play in the Ivy League. Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Right.
But the Vikings fall to 1-1 here to wrap up this game tonight. A reminder to join us for our next broadcast next Tuesday. That's December the 10th for another GMC Tilt. Fairfield visits Middletown. Tip-off is set for 7:15. Trace and I will be with you with all the action right here on Chatterbox Live. Glad to have you along, and we want to give special thanks to our folks who helped us up, our staff tonight. Jacob Harmon and George Harmon on the camera, and Ron Fowler, Uncle Ron,
that's right,
who produced for us tonight. So we're very thankful for them here as well. Final thoughts?
Absolutely not. I love high school basketball. I mean, I am thrilled to kind of get to this part of the season. And they're only going to become more fun, and I'm sure we'll become a little more polished. But, hey, great start. First game. Glad to have you back.
Glad to be here with your partner. So glad to be here for this one tonight as Nate Johnson was impressive again. 34 points to lead all scorers. 59-49 the final as Lakota East improves to 3-0. Princeton falls to 1-1. We're going to bid you good night and see you next Tuesday. For Trace Fowler, I'm Geoff Kim. Good night from Liberty Township.